Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Hello there. We are busy this evening. Premier League fixtures aplenty. We will talk to Brian Kerr around 7:30 or so. We have Johnny Ward in studio. We will be all over these games. Miguel Delaney will join us from Old Trafford as well. It's an Anglo-Irish affair in the Heineken Champions Cup this weekend. Ben Coles from The Telegraph joins us, as does Darren Cave. Plus, David Nucifora has briefed the media on the IRFU's review into failings at the World Cup. And then Dennis Hogan, obviously the fight in Saudi Arabia is taking centre stage, but Dennis Hogan from Kildare fights for the middleweight world title on Saturday in New York City. He's going to talk to us after 8:30. Richie McCormack, hello.
Hey Joe, you alright?
Very well. Been busy today. Johnny Ward, how you doing?
Not too bad, Joe.
What's going on in your world? What's taking your fancy?
What's going on?
Merseyside derby, Manchester United against Spurs.
Yeah, really interesting fixtures tonight, actually. The timing of Jose, I suppose, going back to Old Trafford against the Man United team that can't be particularly high in confidence at the moment. I really think Spurs should get a result there tonight. I've watched Manchester United's last two games, as best I could anyway, because I was working here for one of them and trying to watch what was going on. But I did watch the Villa game. They're so poor at the moment.
It's not good.
No, I mean, people go on about Solskjaer, but if you look at the two teams tonight, that Manchester United, the midfield they have is so average, so average. And the back four that you looked early in the campaign, their Europa League defensive record has been excellent up until the last game, which didn't really matter. And they were defending well in the league, but they've conceded 5 in their last 2 games against fairly ordinary opposition, Sheffield United and Villa. And I suppose there is that kind of hovering spectre of maybe Pochettino being in the background potentially, and Solskjaer's time maybe. It's a really interesting game. I find it probably a little bit more intriguing than the Everton game, although watching Everton Leicester on Sunday, you'd feel so sorry for Silva, just the nature of the goal and the camera zooming in on his face as they gave the VAR decision, and you're just like, this is so hard. And I know he's on a lot of money, but it doesn't really matter at that moment.
No, it doesn't. I would think Solskjaer's thinking, what I really don't need just now is Jose Mourinho waltzing back in here, and making a show of me. And so Mourinho, for all his failings at Manchester United, in fairness to him, must be looking at this Spurs squad and thinking, well, it's a bit easier with this lot.
I remember he said finishing second with that Man United team was up there with his best achievements, and we see the Spurs team there actually on the box tonight. They've obviously Eriksen is not playing, and it looks like he's going to be on the way out sooner or later. But with Mourinho, it's hard to tell the pantomime from the actual series comment at times, and that one was a bit like that. But
it's aging. As it ages, it gets more serious, I think.
You can't have what are we talking, 4 managers since Ferguson? They can't have all done a really bad job. It was a horrible, I suppose, prospect for anyone to take over Alex Ferguson, but all in all, Mourinho probably did an okay job. They haven't signed very well, but the players they have at the moment, I'm not sure if anyone would do much better than Solskjaer for all of his kind of, deficiencies as a manager.
So, Richie, we're starting with the live football. I presume there's lots of team news to bring people up to date with?
Yeah, the only piece of team news we're actually waiting on is the game at Anfield, because it has an 8:15 start, later than the rest. Liverpool looking to heap further pressure on Marco Silva tonight, the Everton manager, with the Toffees sitting 1 place and 2 points off the Premier League drop zone after back-to-back defeats. As I say, a 8:15 start at Anfield tonight. Leicester can return to second place. They host the managerless bottom side, Watford. As you mentioned there, Jose Mourinho bringing his Tottenham side to former employers Manchester United this evening. David De Gea starts in goal. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Victor Lindelof, Harry Maguire and Ashley Young are their back four. In midfield sits Scott McTominay and Fred. In front of them, Daniel James, Jesse Lingard, and it's Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood leading the line. For Spurs, Paulo Gazzaniga starts in goal. It's a back four of Serge Aurier, Toby Alderweireld, Davinson Sanchez and Jan Vertonghen. In midfield, it's Harry Winks and Moussa Sissoko. The trio of Dele Alli, Heung-min Son and Lucas Moura are all tucked in behind Harry Kane. Chelsea host Aston Villa, for whom Conor Hourihane starts in midfield. Southampton entertain Norwich with Shane Long up front for the Saints and Michael Obafemi on the bench. And Wolves will go fifth with a win over West Ham. Matt Doherty starts for the hosts at Molyneux this evening.
Hourihane is getting a good run of games at the moment, and he was very good in the win over Newcastle, and I think it's very important. I think when Stephen Kenny comes in, I think Hourihane might become a better player, and I mean that in the sense that maybe he'll inculcate a little bit more self-belief in him than seems to be the case for the Ireland games, because, you know, I think when we played Switzerland, his touches on the ball were 1/3 of what Xhaka had, and that shouldn't really be the case when we're playing at home.
No, it's interesting. We had Brian Kerr at the game on Sunday, where obviously Villa were playing Manchester United, and Horan was fresh off the Newcastle game and the two brilliant set pieces, and we were looking at the fact that I think he's pretty much topped the charts at Villa across this season and last season for assists, and he's right up there for goals as well. But obviously he hasn't played all the time for them. And Kerr's point was that maybe on the ball his passing needs to improve. Is he seeing the pass quick enough? Is he getting the ball out of his feet quick enough? Is he doing all those things that you need to do? Yeah, because clearly somebody with that brilliance at set pieces, if you could fit them into the side at all, you clearly would. So there is a deficiency there.
Yeah, like it was probably one of the, you know, Horan being dropped in Geneva by Mick was probably a fairly questionable decision because he's so good at set pieces. Yeah. I would more look at Horan and say I think his passing ability is there. I mean, you could pick out a showreel of his best passes.
Well, it's more funny enough. His crossfield David Beckham style ones are a joy to watch. And beautiful. It's more the speed of the other ones around midfield, quick feed under pressure. Yeah. It's not like disastrous at it, but we were looking for reasons as to why he hasn't cemented a spot more.
Yeah, well, he's peripheral in games too much, and I don't know if that's, you know, it's funny, the great midfielders make it look so simple. And I was watching Valencia and Chelsea last week, and the Valencia midfielder, who I've seen very little of, 29-year-old Spaniard, God, I've actually mentioned him at the weekend, I've forgotten his name again. Parejo. Everything he did on the ball was just, it was a joy to watch, but it was all about looking for the ball and getting into those pockets where, and if you are put under pressure, you can pass with left foot, right foot, but always on the ball. And as a defender or a winger, to have that out ball, to have that guy to give you. And Horan, it's almost like he lacks character on the pitch to make that decision to say, I want to get on the ball here, because I don't think technically he's deficient. And the other thing is, I think playing with that Villa team, and in particular playing with the man who should be playing for Ireland, Jack Grealish, they just dovetail. They're dovetailing so well, and Grealish is, I've never seen him playing as well as this, but Horan is enjoying it.
I bear no ill will towards Jack Grealish. I'm actually enjoying how well he's playing. Yeah, and I'm like, good for you.
Yeah, he's looking a lot more of an absence than Declan Rice at the moment, I think. Like the Declan Rice kind of debate has just died down, and everyone's enjoying Grealish, but he and Horan are really working well together.
Yeah, okay. So we'll keep an eye on how Conor Horan goes this evening, and then on the TV they've just shown a reel of Dele Alli's most recent goals. Really, Mourinho said he came in and told him, just run beyond Harry Kane a bit more, and now he's scored a rake of goals just running in behind defences.
Yeah, but there's clearly more to it than that.
That's it. No, that was it.
I know, but in terms of confidence building,
run
the chats that he would have had behind the scenes, rather than just run beyond him a little bit.
Do you think he was
giving
him
your
like
stuff?
You're one of the greatest players in the world, that kind of business again? That's Mourinho's way with some players down the years.
I think he would have plumossed him to the hilt, and I think it probably would have worked. Such was the depth of Dele Alli's lack of confidence at that point, that he just needed a bit of love and tenderness. Shows him Mourinho putting the arm around him, saying, "It's okay, Dele. You come along now. You're mine. Everything's going to be all right."
He said he felt guilty when Pochettino was sacked, Dele Alli, that he thought, I haven't been very good here. I haven't really helped the situation. So
I think it's easy at times though to blame players and say, oh, you didn't put it in for such a manager. I think if your confidence is gone at that level, you can't get away with it. It's too good a level. And Mourinho's had a decent, I suppose, very, very short-term reaction. They've conceded 6 goals in the 3 games against fairly run-of-the-mill opposition. So it's early days, but I think they had a fairly soft first 3 games. West Ham away, a Champions League game which they're mad expected to win, and a very winnable home game on Saturday. So tonight's more of an acid test, and the football betting market is usually fairly accurate, and it makes Man United favourites, and I can't get my head around that. I thought Spurs would be I thought they'd be popular with the bettors tonight, but they're not at the moment.
Now, interesting news from
Interesting is one word.
The FAI's perspective and 3. This has been a long association.
10 years. The FAI, though, have thanked 3 for their decade-long sponsorship of Irish football. The telecommunications company today announced that they will end their involvement with Irish football when the current contract expires in July of 2020. 3's decision puts more financial pressure on the FAI, who will publish their 2018 accounts and talk about them as well in public tomorrow.
Now, I think that's just has put the frighteners of everybody as to what's in these accounts tomorrow, because the timing here can't be a coincidence. Okay, the timing here could be a coincidence, but it's a hell of a coincidence, is it not?
The announcement coming the day before that, is
like, are they almost anticipating things being so bad tomorrow that sponsors will be put under pressure, that people will say, look what's in these accounts, how can you stand by this association? Is that what's going on here?
I think I don't think sponsors will be intimidated necessarily by losses, because let's face it, 3 are everywhere in terms of visibility, and that visibility in terms of Irish football wouldn't be diminished by the FAI spooting a load of money on John Delaney's farewell, etc.
But if the losses are that disgraceful,
I think what would damage a sponsor's relationship is the redacted stuff that's possibly gone before the guards that we don't know, and obviously 3 don't know, but they may have gotten spooked by the fact that there is that kind of association. But I don't think what's coming tomorrow would have been the...
They said in their statement 3 that they made a decision to change their sponsorship model and focus more on music, where they do have a foothold already, so that's the logic, and of course you take them at their word.
I'd be very cynical about stuff like this and think they're getting lots of cheap publicity about this now. Tonight everyone's talking about 3 and pulling out from the FAI. Would they be so sort of bound by morals and ethics that it's the FAI's car crash situation that's compelled them to do this? I don't know. I wouldn't jump the gun on it, but...
no company that size is bound by morals and ethics.
No. I spoke to...
The publicity that they would get across this 24 hours doesn't compare to the publicity you get from sponsoring the Irish football team.
Yeah, but they're pulling out, so they're paying for that sponsorship and they're pulling out. They've been there a long time.
They're not getting that much hit for tonight.
I'd say if you put a figure on it, it'd be pretty... It's like it's all over every news bulletin. It's all over social media.
Number 3 trend on Twitter right now is 3 Ireland.
Okay, fair enough. You trend on Twitter. Wait till the football starts today.
Who's to blame here, Joe?
Come Saturday, it's over.
Shane Ross's... I don't know if you read Tommy Condon's article at the weekend where he was talking about him. Some of his language was less than parliamentary, but it was a brilliant article. And I just look at Shane Ross, and I'm just... I'm looking at the guys who... Well, I spoke to somebody in the FAI today telling me, like, there's going to be a load of redundancies upcoming. Morale is rock bottom. And I know the FAI has been an absolute disgrace, and that's the way it was under, the former CEO or whatever. But you can't blame everyone. You can't blame everyone who was there. And whether, like, what does Shane Ross know about football? What does he care about the damage that this is doing at the moment? 3 pulling out. And is Shane Ross doing what's best for Irish football? I'd be very, very, very sceptical about that.
Why?
Well, he doesn't care. Why he doesn't care about football? What does Shane Ross know about football?
He doesn't care about sport, full stop.
Shane Ross was lauding John Delaney as recently as last December. He was so if he last December had no idea that the FAI should be more questioned, and all of a sudden he's gone full swing on his U-turn, I think he's a bit redundant in terms of talking about this. And I'm not saying it's entirely his fault. I'm not saying it's his fault that 3 have pulled out, but I'm saying that he should be a little bit careful about. He also put up with comments about, UEFA can't abide governments meddling in the affairs of the Football Association. That is completely against what FIFA and UEFA are about. And Ross is saying that he's not, yet he clearly is, because all the grants money has been put on hold. And there are a lot of clubs out there who are waiting on money that they can't get. And I've no faith in Shane Ross caring even an iota about Irish football or the people therein.
Well, just to be fair to him, because he's not here.
Yeah.
I totally accept your point about Shane Ross being on this radio station in October, certainly, maybe in November, talking about how all he hears from the grassroots is good things about John Delaney, and he's obviously doing a very good job. That would suggest someone who was not on top of the brief to a sufficient standard. He can't say otherwise. Does Shane Ross care about people losing their jobs? Does Shane Ross care about the biggest participation sport in the country? I think it's a bit unfair to say he doesn't care.
I'd be sceptical.
Doesn't care. Doesn't care. Why, as Minister for Sport, would he not want Irish football to do well?
I'm not saying he doesn't want to do well, but if you were to pick from all that cast of 180 odd people, misfits and great politicians that there are in the Dáil, Would Shane Ross strike you as, God, he'd be an ideal Minister for Sport, that lad, he knows his onions?
No, he never struck me as an ideal Minister for Sport in that regard.
We're so strange, like politics is so strange that people end up with portfolios entirely at odds with their suitability.
Varadkar had the same portfolio and he had no interest either.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be, like, for the Minister of Sport, it should be quite a prize role for a politician who genuinely has an interest. Shane Ross does not appeal to me as somebody. I mean, I know he's been in Dalymount in the last year or so behind the goal with the UCD fans, but I don't really think he's a football man.
Maybe not. Now, look, but you see, you can't be into every sport, and you're the Minister for Sport. You have a duty to every sport, and you could go in there and not like X, Y, and Z, and like everything else. So you can still do what's best for various sports and take advice from the right people and do your job well. Like, I guarantee you could get, I don't know, name a very capable person. Michael O'Leary. We say Michael O'Leary for a second, who might only care about horse racing, but I'm sure he could run other sports well, take advice well.
FAI.
Yeah, well, that would be interesting too. I don't know, look, I take your point on Shane Ross. Because he's not here, I feel a need to defend him.
Absolutely, I've never met Shane Ross. I just think he has such an important job now that he's kind of, his hold over what's happening in the FAI is a little bit worrying, because I think there are a lot of people, very, very decent people there, that have been totally shat upon by what's happened and aren't really to blame.
Oh, well, we agree on that.
And that's the difficult thing.
If Shane Ross didn't care about that, genuinely, I'd be a bit surprised.
Yeah.
Even if you don't care about normal, decent people being completely shafted through no fault of their own.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there in government building saying, well, I don't really care because it's just football. I don't think that's fair. I think it doesn't matter if it's football or a phone company. If there's people losing their jobs getting shafted, he certainly should care. And I think you'd argue he would.
Yeah, and it's not that I'm saying he doesn't care. I think football isn't really his baby or his kind of what he would motivate him in the morning. But I think all I know of Paul Cook, who's come in, I think this is a good move. And I think there is a time where, as much as we need a clean FAI, we do sort of need to start doing stuff here. What happens to the League of Ireland next year? At the moment, I mean, it's so up in the air. The League of Ireland is supposed to be moving away from the FAI next year, and it's like it's governed by something that isn't able to function at the moment, and that's quite sad as well.
Yeah. Where are we going next, Richie?
We have team news actually in from Anfield, Joe. 5 changes for Liverpool this evening. Adrian starts in goal for the suspended Alisson. At back 4, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Dejan Lovren, Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson. In midfield then, it's Jorginho Wijnaldum, James Milner and Adam Lallana. Xherdan Shaqiri makes a first Liverpool start since January. He's in a front 3 with Sadio Mane and Divock Origi. The likes of Roberto Firmino, Mo Salah and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain are on the Liverpool bench this evening. Everton are unchanged from that defeat to Leicester. So Jordan Pickford starts in goal. A back 3 of Mason Holgate, Yerry Mina and Michael Keane. Djibril Sidibe and Luca Digne are their full backs, with Tom Davies and Gylfi Sigurdsson in midfield. Alex Iwobi and Richarlison flank Dominic Calvert-Lewin, as we mentioned earlier, an 8:15 start to that one.
Is that not a bit mad? Because Klopp is not apt to make drastic changes.
He has done from time to time.
Like from time to time, that Liverpool team is like a League Cup team almost. There's so many changes. It's almost like if it's almost like saying to Everton, well, yeah, we'll beat you anyway.
Never give a sucker an even break. I mean, there's some big names on the bench there. That'll be a motivated Everton team. Imagine that Everton dressing room when they see. Now, Salah has not been playing well. It was something we were going to touch on with Brian Kerr. Salah's been really poor this year.
His ankle.
Yeah, it seems that way. And Firmino. But if you're in the Everton dressing room, Firmino and Salah, even Henderson is a bit of a leader for them on a night like tonight.
Absolutely,
yeah. You'd be thinking, okay, this is possible.
There's an element of Everton being chagrined from Sunday as well. They would have felt that they probably deserved at least a point.
Yeah,
did in many ways, yeah.
The fact that they're unchanged suggests that Silva's just gone, listen lads, you did okay the other day. More of that and we might get at least
the game's become a bit more interesting. Not a fan of these 8:15 kickoffs.
No.
Can I put that on the record?
Can I tell you why I'm not a fan of that?
Well,
10 o'clock would be out the gap.
Yeah.
Not anymore, Joe.
I was kind of trying to put myself in the mind of Silva on Sunday when.
No, put yourself in my mind. I'm stuck here until 10:30, Johnny.
When Silva's more interesting than you at the moment. But when Leicester equalised, I was just like, is he just fearing the worst straight away that this? And then when the goal was such a borderline, even watching the VAR, I was like, I think they're going to give an offside here. And it was all this psychological thing. When everything's going against you, you just think it's going to happen, and it did.
Good news from Glasgow today from an Irish perspective. Mona McSharry has won bronze at the European Short Course Swimming Championships. The Sligo swimmer set a new Irish senior record time of 29.87 seconds to claim a podium place in the women's 50-metre breaststroke. Gold and silver both went to Italy, with Benedette Pilato coming home ahead of Martina Carraro. Danielle Hill smashed Melanie Knocker's 8-year-old Irish record with a time of 58.62 seconds in the semi-finals of the women's 100-metre backstroke. That's as far, though, as Hill would go. Dara Green twice set new personal best times today, but couldn't progress beyond the men's 50-metre breaststroke semi-finals. 2 potential formats for the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship have been unveiled under the first proposal of the Fixtures Calendar Review Task Force. Joe, something you're very fond of.
FCRT.
Can I go to this texter?
No.
Shame on you lads for not opening the show by mentioning Paul McGrath's 60th birthday. There's a text.
That man is on the button. Now, that man or woman is on the button.
There was that lovely shot on doing the rounds on Twitter today, you know, where McGrath's at some Ireland game or other and the crowd start going ballistic and he doesn't know why, because he's just looking at the action of the pitch. It's like, I'm not seeing the cheer corresponding to the action of the pitch.
He looks at the big screen.
Looks at the big screen, sees he's on it and almost kind of goes, oh, you know, embarrassed, shy, and then kind of applauds them back. And everyone just automatically thinks, I really like that man. He's just, I don't know, I get emotional even just thinking about
one of the most beloved people in our sport.
Yeah.
And deservedly so as well.
Yeah.
Brian Kerr, I was reading a piece Brian Kerr had about him where he saw him playing for like Dalkey's, I think it was a Dalkey's second team or something or other, and he just kind of in the middle of turning into management from playing at the time, and he kind of wanted to sign him, but the Pats manager at that time snapped him up very quickly afterwards, a real old style Pats manager, and he was just like, he stood out for 3 reasons, like his skin colour, which was very unusual for a Dublin game at that time, his hair, and the fact that he was just class. And I was looking back on actually your tweet today. I
tweeted the goal that never was against Holland in '94 that should have been given. Frank Rijkaard stooped his head too low. Paul lobbed the ball over him and slotted the ball home past, I think it was Ed De Hoy in the goal, might have been Van der Sar.
Probably De Hoy.
But it was like a Letizia type goal. It was a complete brilliant solo effort. Should have been given. Wasn't. The referee ruled it.
Did we see Paul McGrath at his best for Ireland? Do you know? Yeah. Because he was such a good technical player.
94. Those 2 games in particular against Norway, against Italy. Like his knees were made of sawdust and jelly. Like there was nothing there in terms of his joints. And he was pulling out the performances of somebody who was 8 years as junior, fully fit, and at the absolute peak of their game. He was incredible. He was played out of position by Jack Charlton for most of his career. Like he's played in some kind of anchoring midfield role. Yeah,
well, I don't. In fairness to Jack, he was a very talented player. Like I'm sure he could have played different positions. But I think we love Paul for 3 or 4 reasons. 1, because of his background, which made it a little bit difficult in Dublin at the time. 2, because of his utter brilliance as a player, and 3, because of his like patent fragility.
Yes.
You know, and put all that together, and I think we felt good about ourselves watching and lauding and loving Paul McGrath as a nation, and he's always so self-deprecating. I mean, his tweet today was like, I've made it to 60. I hope he makes it to 160.
Right, Richie, back to whatever turgid
the FCRT
Fixtures Calendar Review Task Force.
Can you do me a favour and just make this interesting? What, in short, have we got here?
Okay.
Short version.
Short version. The 4 provincial championships will have 8 teams each in 2 groups of 4.
The 4 provincial championships.
8 teams each.
8 teams each.
2 groups of 4.
So they're changing the provinces?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it would basically have an eye on, I think it would involve Longford going into Ulster or something like that. But
okay.
Basically it's along those lines.
All right. Yeah, okay, good.
The other proposal...
Longford in Connacht, I presume, would it be?
Could be that. Either way, Longford are moving. Okay. The other proposal suggests the Football League be played in the summer as the basis for the championship, and the provincial championships will be played in early spring.
Right.
So it would be a flipping of...
Are one of these 2 things definitely happening?
No.
Right, well then just move on. Then just move on.
All right.
Football is in a worrying place.
It's just the news, Joe.
Yeah, football is in a worrying place. So when you have to sigh at the prospect of a drastic change of format, football is in a strangely worrying place at the moment.
I'm loving the games. It's just the drip of the fixture situation.
You're still loving the games?
The league situation would be brilliant.
Yeah. I think football's back in a fantastic place.
I tend to agree.
Yeah, I really do. It's not just the All Ireland football finals anymore that have been good. I think so many games are good.
Yep.
The pale limitations of blanket defences are slowly but surely
eroding
away.
Football is better for coming through the blanket defence years because it found a way of getting over that.
And I was saying the other day actually in the paper review, I think to Jim Gavin's great credit, there were obviously, this is not fair on Jim McGuinness, but there were bad imitations of what Donegal did. So without the counter-attacking, free-flowing football when they did get possession. But there were a lot of pale imitations. And I think Jim Gavin and Dublin, by playing the way they did, probably saved us all from like a decade longer of teams working this out. You know, they really showed Tyrone a few times, this does not work. If you keep doing this...
Bear in mind, Dublin were uber defensive at times when they needed to as well.
Which is great.
50 men behind
I've
the
no
ball
problem
and
with
stuff.
that.
But there's been enough of a shuffling of the deck in teams have been kind of on the rise. I'm kind of thinking the likes of Armagh, who could be good next year. And there's kind of cases that'd be interesting to watch unfold, like the Jack O'Connor and Kildare experiment.
Yeah.
There's like loads of different bits and pieces that'll actually make that championship really watchable.
We need Dublin to become a little bit shitter. We really do.
We do, yeah.
That's the main thing.
Make Dublin human again.
Make Dublin human.
Let's get that in the blue hat.
I don't mind when the Dubs are a bit defensive at times because that's good football. Like, I don't think I could go back to watching 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 in a full forward line. I think I'd find it frustratingly bad defensively.
It's obsolete.
Yeah.
It's obsolete.
By the way, have you been? You're on top of our sporting moment of the decade business, are you?
Yeah, I heard a good one for Friday morning from Tommy Rooney.
You're not allowed to give Ant away for Friday morning.
I read them all out yesterday.
So Friday morning is...
I don't know which day it is, but which one?
It's going to be Ireland's winner against Italy, Robbie Brady versus something else.
So you're into it. Here's a doozy for you. So last night we had Shane Long's goal against Germany. That beat Louth Meath in 2010. Yesterday, Pat Hickey's arrest. I mean, I guarantee you, I know what image went straight into your head there.
Me standing outside a very dangerous police station in Rio, Joe, was that it?
Yes. I presume you saw the CCTV footage in the hotel there. Wow. Didn't you? You saw that? Yes, you did.
Yes, I did.
Versus the O'Donovan brothers winning silver at the same Olympics. I bet you remembered the footage of Hickey better than the race.
Yeah, it was hard to forget it.
Anyway, people rightly voted for the O'Donovan brothers. Tonight, though, Johnny, voting live until 8:30.
What's the actual wording of this again? Sorry, just to clarify.
Moment.
Based on the merit of...
Last night, me and Nathan agreed on how it made you feel.
Well, again, the Hickey one has to win there.
How did Pat Hickey's arrest make you feel, Johnny?
Careful.
It's a winner.
Tonight...
Against anything, really.
Tonight, we are pitting Shane Lowry winning the Open versus Ireland beating New Zealand for the very first time in Chicago.
Can I give a vote on this?
Yeah, of course.
I think it should clearly be Lowry because Ireland beat New Zealand in Chicago in the overall scheme of things. Did it really matter? Like, as in, I know Ewan McKenna's written about this, like rugby tests and all that. Like, so it's a little bit different from friendlies in football. But did that game matter at all? Like this year when they hockeyed us in the World Cup?
No.
I think the tests in Lansdowne Road last November.
No game matters further down the line because of another result.
No, but as in like. I think the game in November did matter a bit. I thought it was great. Like, you know, it was at home. It probably had more feel of a test.
I said I put that one above the Chicago one by a good distance.
Yeah, so, but in fairness to Lowry, Lowry's just an absolute champ.
I think he's doing well in the voting.
Yeah, like Lowry's up there with, I mean, you just love Shane Lowry. I've never met the guy, but I've no doubt he's an absolute champ.
Yeah. Vote on Twitter or Instagram. We'll announce the winner at 8:30. So do you want to do a very quick final story before we get on to Brian Kerr?
We mentioned Jack O'Connor there. He's been handed a boost ahead of Kildare's 2020 campaign. Johnstown Bridge forward Daniel Flynn has rejoined the panel following a stint in the States. Noel Kelly has also returned to the Lily-White setup after a stint of travelling of his own. O'Connor's first competitive game is at the helm in this Saturday's game against Longford in the Bord-na-Mona O'Byrne Cup. The 2020 season starting already. And England's fourth highest test wicket taker of all time, Bob Willis, has died sadly at the age of 70. The family of the former England captain says he passed away after a long illness. He claimed 325 wickets in 90 test matches, including a career best of 8 for 43, in that famous Ashes win over Australia at Headingley in 81. Botham's Ashes is famously known as, but he played his own significant part in it. He would have been a familiar figure to any and all who watched cricket on Sky over the past quarter of a century or thereabouts. Regular commentator and pundit for them, and very early age to be passed away.
Okay, Richie, thanks for that. They're underway at Old Trafford. They will be underway on Merseyside. We'll talk to Brian Kerr next.
Off the ball on News Talk.
Every day a family spent in homelessness hurts them and their children. And this Christmas there are almost 4,000 children without a home. Please make a powerful Christmas gift.
Like a week of hot, nutritious meals, the expert help of a Focus Ireland support worker, and the greatest gift of all, the help to secure a home.